which the FTS is saved.
Critics say you can't do this. Your answer to them is,
we've done it.
This is what victory feels like. Yeah!
This is $350 billion company that never went public. No stock ticker, no quarterly earning calls, no Wall Street scrutiny. So how does SpaceX generate billions in real cash flow, and why don't they need your money? In the next 15 minutes, we are exposing the private market mechanics behind one of the most valuable companies on earth and projecting their future cash flow without ever touching public market.
You can see how fast this vehicle is moving on the left-hand screen. Landing burn, 13 ignited.
From Elon Musk's initial $100 million in 2002 to a valuation exceeding Boeing, Lockheed Martin, and Airbus combined without selling a single public share.
did you think, I need to pack this in?
Never.
Why not?
I don't ever give up.
So here's what we are dissecting. How do you value a company operating in private market schedule? What does their actual cash flow look like? And what are investors really buying at this price? Let's follow the money. SpaceX operates three cash-generating mechanics simultaneously. First, launch service. 2023, 96 orbital launches, more than the rest of the world combined. At $60 to $70 million per Falcon 9 launch and $100 to $150 million for Falcon Heavy, which is approximately $5 to $6 billion annually in launch revenue. But here's the game changer. SpaceX perfected reusability. So marginal cost per launch will be estimating $50 to $20 million. That's 70% gross margin, unheard of in aerospace. Second, Starlink, the sleeping giant. Over 5,000 satellites, more than 2.3 million subscribers. Residential at $120 monthly, premium maritime and aviation at $500 to $5,000 per month. So current Starlink revenue is between $3 to $4 billion annually. But by 2030, it will be $30 billion. But Starlink isn't just internet, it's infrastructure. The compounding advantage. Every Starlink launch uses a SpaceX rocket. They are paying themselves to build their own monopolistic network. Third, government contracts. NASA's Commercial Crew Program, $3.1 billion. Cargo resupply, lunar lander development, and also classified defense launches, which is another $2 to $3 billion annually with multi-year visibility. So what's the total estimated revenue of 2024 is between $10 to $13 billion, which is really impressive. But revenue isn't profit. Let's calculate actual cash flow.
4 years after starting, SpaceX rolled out its first rocket, an unmanned booster called the Falcon 1.
Falcon has cleared the tower.
SpaceX doesn't publish financials. So what we know comes from tender offers, regularity fillings, and leaked investor documents. But we can build the forensic pictures. Operating expenses. 13,000 employees using aerospace benchmark for engineering, research and development and facility, which is $4 to $5 billion annually. Capital expenditure. Developing Starship expanding Starlink and building facilities, which is estimated capital expenditure is $2 to $3 billion annually. So this is the math. Revenue $10 to $13 billion, operating expenses $4 to $5 billion, and capital expenditure which is $2 to $3 billion. And this gives us estimated free cash flow $3 to $5 billion annually. That's comparable to Adobe or Salesforce. Not bad for rocket company trying to colonizing Mars. But here's the critical insight. SpaceX is choosing heavy investment. Scale back Starship, focus on Falcon 9 and Starlink. So free cash flow could hit $8 to $10 billion. And they are not doing that. Understanding why unlocks the $350 billion valuation of SpaceX. At $350 billion, SpaceX trade at roughly 35 to 70 times estimated free cash flow. Expensive by traditional standards, but SpaceX isn't valued like Boeing. It's valued like Tesla in 2015 and Amazon in 2000. That sounds extreme, unless you believe SpaceX is still in its early innings. Private investors aren't buying what SpaceX is, they are buying what it becomes. So here's the three speculative factors driving that prices. First, Starship economics. Full reusability drops launch cost from $2,000 to $3,000 per kilogram to $10 to $20 per kilogram. That penetrates SpaceX's cost entirely. SpaceX doesn't just dominate launch, they create entirely new markets. Orbital manufacturing, Mars space tourism, and lunar cargo delivery.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff of Space Shuttle Atlantis.
So here analysts project $1 trillion space economy by 2040, and SpaceX captures significant shares. Second, Starlink's total addressable market. 3 billion people lack reliable internet globally, and SpaceX capture only just 5%. So 150 million subscriber at $50 to $120 monthly, which is equals $90 to $116 billion annual recurring. And here's using telecom multiplies Starlink alone, which is $500 billion to $1 trillion. And last, the Mars premium. Hardest to quantify and undeniable real. SpaceX is the only company credibly pursuing planetary colonization. If they succeed, they own the railroads to Mars, the first orbital depots, and the cislunar cargo network. That optionality carries real private market value.
Vehicle is supersonic.
So why doesn't SpaceX go public? So here's the strategic logic. Public markets demand quarterly results, short-term thinking, and predictable earnings. Where SpaceX blow-ups rocket as development strategy. They invest billions in decade, and this is long-term projects. Musk knows public market volatility. He's lived it with Tesla. But staying private, it doesn't mean illiquidity. SpaceX runs periodic tender offers, employs and early investors, sells to new private buyers. Liquidity without scrutiny. Because unlike typical private company desperate for IPO funding, here SpaceX generate enough cash to self-sustain while funding aggressive in research and development. So they have leverage. They don't need public markets.
Welcome to SpaceX. Here we are in the lobby. It's very...
SpaceX represents something unpredictable. Fortune 100 scale with startup flexibility. So the valuation isn't just rocket, it's capital efficiency, monopolistic infrastructure in emerging market, and mission over quarterly earnings. While Boeing answer to quarterly calls, SpaceX answer only to the mission. So here is our analysis. SpaceX generate 15 to 20 billion dollar free cash flow by 2030, which is potentially 50 billion dollar plus if Starship and Starlink projection materialize. But the real question isn't whether SpaceX is overvalued today, it's whether we are watching the formation of the first trillion-dollar aerospace company, one of that never needed Wall Street permission. The future of space isn't being traded on the New York Stock Exchange. It's being built in Boca Chica, Texas.